Good morning, everybody. I'm very fortunate this morning. This is Jason Iasatis on my show, Project Humanity. I've got a returning guest this morning, Dr. Marcus Papadopoulos, a tremendous historian, international affairs analyst, highly respected man in this field of trying to explain to us what's going on in this global, very dangerous global casino mental asylum at the moment. Thanks, Marcus, for all the things that you do.
Not at all, Jason. Thank you ever so much for having me back on your show. And I'm very much looking forward to our discussion, a discussion which focuses on a topic which is, as I will delve into later on, extremely complicated and is most certainly not black and white.
Yep. I'm going to talk about your new book in a minute. I'll just open up with a quick flurry of just a slight rant just to put the base camp in here, right? I don't know how you feel on a lot of these things. Let me just say something, everybody. Listen to this. For me, a lot of government is a sickness, okay? If you look from space, there's no borders from space, okay? And we're all fighting each other. It's a terrible, complex thing. We're all the same. We're one big global family. But what I want to say is that the fascinating thing for me is why can't Iran have nuclear weapons, you know? You got Trump yesterday saying, I may do it, I may not. You know, I may kill them all, I may not. You know, what is going on here? A lot of people I know saying Trump's going to save us, Trump's going to save us. I've never thought that, for the record. I've always thought that he was controlled by Israel, as most of them are. The AIEA, we don't have evidence of anything that they're building anyway. Dr. Kelly, remember David Kelly? Well, I believe they killed him, in my opinion, because he was saying that Iraq didn't have any. There was that great thing with Tucker Carlson, Marcus. He was asking, what was his name? What's the guy's name? Tucker
Ted Cruz.
Cruz. He didn't know anything about Iran. They don't care. They're just going to bomb them. And what I want to say is, why shouldn't Iran have a nuclear weapon? They've killed and slaughtered far less countries and people than America, but they're not responsible enough to have a nuclear weapon. It's the opposite, you know. I'm very, very worried at this time. Trump was having lunch with the Pakistan military man. You know, 4 billion a year is still going to Israel. I did the Guardian newspaper, Marcus, did a hit piece on me last year with George Monbiot because I said that Israel was controlling Washington. He said that's a conspiracy fantasy. But anyway, Marcus, where are we? Where's this going? How dangerous is it? I'm very concerned, very, very concerned. I think we're in real serious trouble this time, you know.
For those who are familiar with my work, they know that I support Trump in a domestic sense. So I am overall satisfied with what he has implemented in America. So, for example, he declared an emergency at the border with Mexico. He has started to clamp down on illegal immigration. He is fiercely anti-woke. He is anti-BLM. He is anti-Antifa. He says, which of course we all know, there are only two genders,
Hallelujah.
male and female. So you can see, Jason, why I support him in a domestic sense. Also, he is clearly anti-British establishment. He clearly understands that the British establishment, through its principal puppet, Starmer, is one of the most dangerous of forces in the world. That is why a few months ago, Trump humiliated Starmer in the White House. That is why a few days ago, Trump deliberately dropped the agreement on the floor, knowing that the puppet Starmer would then crouch down to pick up the papers. So again, in a domestic sense, I am happy with what Trump is doing in America. There are some exceptions when it comes to AI, which I'm not happy about, but overall, I am happy. Turning to international affairs, the very fact that he's talking with Putin about the war in Ukraine is something to be applauded and is something to be encouraged. Also, during his first term in office, he reached out to the North Koreans. And as a result of that, despite his bombastic language, and despite also at the same time the bombastic language of the North Koreans, both sides sat down with each other and they came to an agreement. And as a result of that agreement, they reduced tremendously the tension on the Korean peninsula. For me, that was his greatest foreign policy achievement. Turning to Israel, this is where I have always been critical of Trump. Indeed, any American president, be it Clinton or Bush or Obama or Biden, panders to the Israelis. And as a result of that, I will always castigate them. Let us now turn to the missile war between Israel and Iran. The situation concerning Israel and Iran is extremely complex. Anyone who says otherwise is either an idiot, a liar, or is being paid to say so. And more often than not, those characteristics are found altogether in one person. So when I say the situation between the Israelis and the Iranians is complicated, let me give one example. This is not known to many people, and it's certainly not known to mainstream politicians and mainstream journalists and so-called experts in the Western world who are simply useful idiots. During the Iran-Iraq war, the Israelis supplied weapons to the Iranians, believing that Saddam Hussein's Iraq posed a greater threat to Israel than the Ayatollah Khomeini's Iran. Now, for many people, that is quite remarkable. But what it goes to show is that high-level politics and high-level international relations is the most peculiar business of all. It is not for the faint-hearted. And quite frankly, as the Americans say, if you can't take the heat, you better stay out of the kitchen. So again, it's not a straightforward situation concerning the Israelis and the Iranians. You posed a very good question, a very pertinent question to me a few moments ago. If Israel has nuclear weapons, why shouldn't Iran have nuclear weapons? Well, let me start by saying, if people are concerned about secret nuclear programs, for example, in West Asia, which is the most volatile part of the world, then they should be concerned first and foremost with Israel, because Israel has nuclear weapons. Israel is not a signatory to the Non-Proliferation Treaty. I do not wish to see Iran have nuclear weapons. I do not wish to see any other country in the world develop nuclear weapons. However, the reality is that Israel has nuclear weapons, and therefore it makes West Asia all the more unstable. Do the Iranians truly seek nuclear weapons? I do not believe they do. This March, Tulsi Gabbard, the chief of the National Security Agency, said that Iran is not developing nuclear weapons. Others from the United Nations have said the same thing. I am not saying that Iran in the future would not seek nuclear weapons. They could. Why? Because they see it. They see the possession of nuclear weapons as the ultimate deterrent to Israel. Israel has nuclear weapons. This is the problem. And I have long argued that Israel is the greatest source of instability in West Asia. And indeed, Israel is one of the foremost sources of instability in the world as a whole. In regard to what Trump has said publicly this week, I must say this. What the Americans and the Iranians say in public is designed for projecting national strength, national dignity, and there is also psychological warfare involved. However, the Iranians and the Americans are talking to each other, and they are talking to each other directly behind closed doors. What they are saying to each other in private is all that counts. I am not interested in the hostile rhetoric emanating from Trump or emanating from the Ayatollah Khamenei, because, as I said, what both sides say in public is designed to project national strength, national dignity, and there is psychological warfare involved, as I mentioned, and also they are both playing to their respective domestic audiences. So it's not important what they say in public. It's the fact they are talking to each other behind closed doors. That is realpolitik. That is how high-level politics and high-level international relations work in practice. So I will say this, Jason. The very fact that both sides are talking to each other in private is something which is to be commended. And I have said for many years now, and I will say this now, I do not believe there will be a war, an all-out war between America and Iran. In spite of Trump's close ties to the Israelis, I believe that he is opposed to war. I think he demonstrated that with the North Koreans during his first term in office. I think he has demonstrated that thus far by talking with the Russians regarding the war in Ukraine. A few months ago, he began talking with the Iranians. If Kamala Harris had won the election last year, she would not have started talking with the Iranians. She would not have started talking with the Russians. So I believe, as I said, that Trump does not favor war. But yes, to a very large extent, he is beholden to the Israelis, and America as a whole is beholden to the Israelis. I'm not so sure that Israel controls America. Clearly, the Israel lobby exerts enormous influence and power in American politics, and that should not be tolerated. In my opinion, Jason, no foreign country should have influence in America or in Britain or in Germany or in Greece and so on and so on. I'm absolutely opposed to all foreign lobbies. They should be expelled from every country in the world. But that said, I think that Trump understands an all-out war between America and Iran would not be in the interests of America. And I believe he knows that the only country who would benefit would be Israel. And I also believe that behind the scenes, there is tension between Trump and Netanyahu. So let me give you one example. After the deep state stole the election in 2020 for Biden, the first foreign leader to call Biden to congratulate him was Netanyahu. Trump is not a man who forgives or forgets. He's a very intriguing man, a very fascinating man. So what Trump and Netanyahu say in public about their respective countries and the strategic partnership between America and Israel is not necessarily what they are saying behind closed doors. And it is obvious that there is some tension between the two. And Trump understands that the American deep state is still entrenched in power. So he doesn't have a free hand, not yet, not yet, anyhow. So these are factors that we have to take into consideration when we view what is happening at the moment between Israel and Iran.
Oh gosh, well done, Marcus. It's great to hear you talking about it because you've given me hope, really, And I think we all, my grandmother used to say, better to live in hope than die in despair, And you have given me hope because although I am running Trump down in a lot of ways. I've always said I've never been one that says Trump's going to save us because I think we're going to save ourselves. We've got to change. I think the greatest threat to humanity is our minds, humanity's mind, because out of our minds we create the future. With action. Most of what worries me the most, Marcus. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but what worries me the most is most of the things you see now globally with tensions or most things you see, and even in our own lives, as we slightly discussed earlier on, is an outcome, is a consequence and a feedback loop from previous decisions made with or without vision and wisdom. And what really worries me always is that our situation globally, the tension, the madness, the war, the killing, the maiming, is from previous decisions made, mostly without wisdom and vision, I've got to say, for power, profit, greed, and slavery and debt. The opposite of what it should be. Oh, symbiosis, love, caring, sharing, freedom, and happiness. But you know me, I'm a bit of a utopian in one sense. I just see that it could be so much better than this, Marcus. It really bothers me, So, but it's great to hear you speak, and you've given me hope there. And I remember I spoke on Russia RT many years ago. I can't remember if it was when Iraq was kicking off or something. We were with Tony Benn outside the blooming American embassy demonstrating. We were called conspiracy nutcases then to say that Iraq didn't have weapons of mass destruction, But, you know, I did a talk on, and it was sort of around kill them just in case, because it was at the time they were bombing wedding parties in Iraq, just in case there was a terrorist in there. And what bothers me with how sort of trigger happy America can be, and the West can be mostly, is that they can do things like that. Well, let's just kill them just in case. Kill Iran just in case, they're going to kill us. They might just get a weapon. Kill them just in case, Now, I make sweeping, I'm a bit of a wild card, as you can see, compared to you. You're very knowledgeable about what happens behind the scenes, much more than I am, that's for sure. But, I see people running in Israel now. It's tragic, and they're getting bombed. But I have to admit, there's a part of me thinking, well, perhaps it's a taste of their own medicine. Look at all the people slaughtered in Gaza, the little children. And if it's one Israeli or three Israelis or four Israelis, it's not the Israelis' fault. It's the maniac that's in charge of them, But I have to admit, it's like, whoa, well, okay, now you see what it feels like. We've been watching children killed in Gaza. It's been sickening. It's been terrible. And I was going to ask you, what do you think is going to happen with America there? They've wanted to clear that place for years. I had a ex-IDF soldier, I think he's a medic actually on here, Shaidan on, and he said that there's no way they could have come into Israel like that. They let them come in. Why? Because they wanted to do this, right? I want to get your opinion on that. There's too many things I know. And then some people have said to me, because I'm not as knowledgeable as you, oh, they created Hamas anyway, Israel and the West. That sounds absurd to me, but you never know. But like you said about the people in America, like Cruz and people like this, when you look at the amount of money they're being given by the Israeli lobby, it's absolutely unbelievable. So they're buying them off. And there's that lady dressed in pink going in and shouting, and it's always coming up on the screen exactly how much money they got, So you know, just it's absolutely crazy. And I was going to ask you, why do they pander to Israel? What's the historical thing behind all that, Marcus? You know, you're a historian. Why has Israel got so much power and so much sway over countries and media? And I'm not an anti-Semitic. I love my Israeli friends, you know, but my God, it sounds almost satanic. You know, people are saying, well, there's things happening on off-world entities, and there's all these you know, what do you think's going on with this Israel thing? It's just, it seems to be so almost overwhelming and controlling almost everything in the West, you know?
In some ways, Israel's war against Iran is actually Netanyahu's war.
Right.
Netanyahu is facing, and has been now for a few years, is facing serious challenges to his leadership. He is very unpopular, and of course, he has been accused of corruption, and high-level corruption at that. Now, back in 1982, Galtieri, the leader of Argentina, was also very unpopular in Argentina. He was also facing serious challenges to his leadership. So, what did Galtieri do? In an attempt to unify Argentinian public opinion behind him, he invaded the Falkland Islands. So that is why I say, in some ways, Israel's war, current war against Iran, is Netanyahu's war, because he is attempting to rally the Israeli public behind him. He is trying to undermine the severe challenges to his leadership by saying, we face a common enemy, and I will lead us into battle against this common enemy. So that is something we need to be mindful of. I would also like to say this, Jason. In the last week or so, though I have seen it, I would say, since the beginning of the year, there are a lot of people in the Western world, mainstream politicians, mainstream journalists, and ordinary members of the public, who are saying that they support Iran becoming a monarchy again. They are praising the previous Shah, who was deposed by the Iranian people in 1979. Quite frankly, Jason, these people who now profess to know about Iran, to know about the Shah, are simpletons. They are complete and utter idiots. They know nothing about Iran. They know nothing about Iranian history. They know nothing about the Iranian Revolution. They know nothing about the old Tsar, the old Shah. What they don't talk about, because they are ignorant of, is the fact that when Iran was ruled by the Shah, Iran was a tyranny, and a brutal tyranny. Iran was full of dungeons, and those dungeons were full of political opponents. The Shah's secret police were notorious in West Asia for their brutality. Also, the Shah sold Iran, its economy, its natural resources, to the Americans and also to the British. Iran under the Shah was not independent, and it was not sovereign. It was, in essence, a colony of the West. Turning to the Iranian Revolution of 1979, which was overwhelmingly supported by the Iranian people, overwhelmingly supported. Yes, there were different political factions, but they came together because of their hatred for the Shah, and their hatred of the Shah's system, and their loathing of the fact that Iran was a playground for the Americans and for the British and for other Western countries. The most important achievement of the Iranian Revolution was that Iran was returned to the Iranian people. Following the Iranian Revolution, we saw the coming to power of the Ayatollah Khomeini. Now, in my opinion, there have been many successes in the last 46 years in Iran. Is there political suppression there? Yes, there is. There is political suppression across the whole of West Asia. There is political suppression in Israel. There is also political suppression in Britain. Let us not forget, last summer, many British people were arrested because they were fearful of what is happening in Britain. They are angry at what the British establishment has turned Britain into, and they were thrown into prison. They are political prisoners. But returning to West Asia, all governments in West Asia and in North Africa exercise political suppression. They all have political dungeons, again, including Israel. There are thousands of Palestinians, including children, in prisons in Israel. So no one is an angel in West Asia. The Iranians are not angels. The Israelis are most certainly not angels. However, the Iranians do not profess to be whiter than white. They do not profess to be angelic. The Israelis, and of course their Western patrons, do. And Iran has not started wars in West Asia, but the Israelis and the Americans have. So that is something that the simpletons, the morons in Western countries who are saying that Iran should return to a monarchy should be aware of. They do not understand Iran, and they should also know that when it comes to women in Iran, firstly, it is now not mandatory in Iran for women to cover their hair, unlike for in Saudi Arabia, which is a strategic friend of both America and Britain's. So that's the first reality about women in Iran. Secondly, there are considerable numbers of women in Iran who are in parliament, who are in the legal profession, who are in science, who are in the police, and so on and so on. And thirdly, at a more simple level, women in Iran are treated with great respect. That, to an ignorant person in the Western world, will be shocking to hear, because they have been indoctrinated for 46 years. If, for example, in a car park, if there is a space available, and if there's a man driving one car and a woman driving another car, and they both head towards that parking space, if the man sees that it is a woman driving the other car, he will allow her to have that parking space because of the respect which is given to women. Why? Because in Iran, they see women naturally as bringing into the country future generations. They see women as key in looking after children, in the development of children, which quite frankly is how the whole of the Western world once was, before the Western ruling elites introduced the unsubstantiated concept of equality between men and women. Men and women are not equal. They are different. They bring different things to the table. That is how God intended men and women to be. Men and women complement each other beautifully, and it is absolutely essential that they remain how they are. So in Iran, in Russia, in other traditional societies in the world, men do what men are supposed to do, and women do what women are supposed to do. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent.
That's good. It's good. It's good. Good for people to hear that. Yeah.
Regarding what you said about the influence that Israel has in not just Western countries, many other countries in the world, how Israel was formed in 1948, the history behind it inevitably meant that for many years there would be sympathy there would be sympathy shown towards the Israeli state. And a lot of people now, ever since Israel showed its true face in Gaza at the end of 2023, a lot of people now in the Western world understand that Israel is not angelic, far from it. Secondly, the other reason why Israel commands so much influence and power in Western countries and in Western countries now, solely in Western countries, is because Israel is the main conduit for Western supremacy in West Asia and in North Africa. Without Israel, the West, principally America, could not dominate West Asia and North Africa. It would simply be impossible. Therefore, it is absolutely crucial for the Western ruling elites, for the deep state in America, to ensure that Israel receives billions of dollars in aid each year and vast amounts of military equipment and military technology year in, year out. But of course, the American deep state does not represent the American people. The American deep state is extremely hostile to the American people. Take, for instance, Jason, how the American deep state has deliberately imported millions upon millions of people from outside of the Western world into America to destroy the American people's cultural and spiritual values. And when I say spiritual values, they're Christian values. Exactly what the British deep state or the British establishment or the British ruling elite has done in the UK. So the British deep state cares nothing for the British people. The American deep state cares nothing for the American people. Why do I introduce this? Because Israel, for the American deep state, is highly important. Israel, however, is not important for the American people. America is afflicted with cancer because of the American deep state. Therefore, people like Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene, both of whom I have great admiration for, argue that every cent, every dollar should be spent in America. No more foreign aid, no more foreign wars. And both of them have made it very clear, no money for Israel. Israel started this missile war with Iran. Let Israel fight it. Because people like MTG and Massey understand that America is still occupied, that America is under attack, America is under siege, that the enemy is not abroad. The enemy is in America. So Trump is not controlled by the deep state. I do not believe that. But I do believe, however, to an extent, he's beholden to the Israelis. And I think in the last few days, in spite of what he said in public, I believe that he is now tussling with the reality that he is beholden somewhat to the Israelis, maybe to a large extent to the Israelis. As I said, Trump is a very intriguing man. I also think some of his public comments in the last few days should be seen in this light too. He is very bitter, he is very angry, and he is very vindictive. Why? Because of how he was treated in the last few years. They attempted to kill him on 2 occasions. They attempted to send him to prison. He was accused publicly of being a traitor. For years and years, he was subjected to that. Now, it doesn't matter, Jason, that he's a billionaire. He's a human being. He's a man. That is going to, that would have, how he was treated has taken an immense toll on his mind and on how he sees the world, how he sees people in general. So I believe that the other reason as to why he's making a lot of these bombastic comments, will he not attack Iran, is because he wants to leave people feeling on a knife edge. He wants to make them feel tense. He wants to make them feel anxious, because that is how he felt when he was being targeted. Now, some people would condemn him for that. My own view, Jason, is that I understand that. We're all human beings, and in particular, men. Men are very different to women in that respect. A man who is targeted and brutally targeted will become angry and will become vindictive. If you are pushed beyond your breaking point, Jason, you will become the same as Trump, on a far lower level, of course, but you would. I would too. I have been targeted by the powers that be in the Western world for many years. What would have been very successful and lucrative careers for me and satisfying careers for me have been ruined because of my opinions, because of my interpretations of certain periods in history, and because I will not surrender, I will not compromise. I have no regrets about that, Jason. But of course, at times I have felt very angry, very bitter. That's natural. I'm a human being, and I am a male. So I think that people should understand that in regard to Trump. As I said at the start of this interview, I still believe that this can be resolved peacefully. I still believe that there will not be an all-out war between America and Iran. I hold to that opinion. However, when it comes to Trump, and I'm not making excuses for him, I will not retract one word of criticism I have made over him over the years, principally regarding Israel. But I will say this: something is better than nothing. He is going after illegal immigrants in America. Good. He is attacking woke. Good. He has affirmed in law that there are only 2 genders, male and female. Good. He has stopped the attacks on Christianity in America. Good. He is talking to the Russians about Ukraine. Good. He began talking with the Iranians about how to resolve the differences between America and Iran, principally regarding the nuclear issue. Good. Something is better than nothing, Jason. I will take anything, even if Trump delivers 10% of what I would like him to do. Something is better than nothing. Compare and contrast, Jason, to Britain. In Britain, which is a tyranny and a kleptocracy, we get nothing whatsoever. Aside from Rupert Lowe, who I have great admiration for, and he's very courageous with how he is now tackling the British establishment, and as he now describes it as the British state. Aside from him, there is no one in the House of Commons who supports the British man and woman. And when I use the word British, I mean British. I don't mean these fake definitions that the British establishment has put out. So in Britain, Jason, we get nothing. In America, thus far, if it changes, then I will condemn Trump. But thus far, he's delivered a lot of good. Anything that happens in America will be felt in Britain. And I have long said that the British people can't save themselves. They turned away from God many years ago. They did not defend their culture. Now there is a cultural revival in Britain. Splendid. There is also a spiritual revival in Britain. Splendid. Many British people are returning to God, or they are finding God. This is good. But I still don't believe that British people can save themselves. I have for many years now said that salvation for the British people, apart from divine intervention from God, salvation for the British people can only be found in America, and can only be found with someone who is willing to go up against the American deep state. Is that person Trump? It's too early to say. He's done a lot of good so far, but I'm not sure. But what is for sure is that the British establishment, the British deep state, is rattled by a lot of the things he's saying and doing. Well, that's good for us, Jason, in Britain. That's something. So I know I've digressed somewhat, but I do think these are important points which people should be aware of and people should take into consideration. Trump is anything but perfect, and he's not an angel. Putin is not perfect, and Putin is anything but an angel. But with Trump, there is something there which resonates with normal human beings in America and the rest of the Western world. Again, I reiterate, something is better than nothing.
Oh, well said, Marcus. It's really good to hear you talking about that, because I can be quite reactionary. As Trump's controlled by Israel, that's it. I'll condemn him, and it's not good, because I'm glad he's there. Don't get me wrong. Can you imagine Biden and Harris, like you said? Oh my God, I don't know what would happen. These people, and you saw, one of the best things he's done is stop men beating women up in the Olympics in a boxing ring. I mean, I've never seen anything like it in my life. I just get, how is that happening? Because they want these psychopath, satanic entities in these echelons. They want people's perception to be skewed. They want to take away people's spiritual connection to God, or whatever anyone wants to call their God, or the great infinite intelligence that's making all this amazing mathematical universe tick. Wow. And yeah, so thankfully that's coming back, and I really admire him for that. But you've helped me today. You've softened me off a bit, because I was getting really irritated about Trump.
Could I just jump back in very quickly?
Please.
There is nothing wrong with criticizing Trump, as you do, regarding his relationship or America's relationship with Israel. That's perfectly acceptable, perfectly legitimate. And most people in the MAGA movement bitterly oppose foreign wars and bitterly oppose sending weapons and American taxpayers' money to any country in the world, including Israel. So that's something that Trump has to be aware of and is aware of. And I think that if he, and hopefully he will, if he continues to talk with the Iranians and does not participate in the Israeli war against Iran, this will be a reason for it, because Trump, amongst other things, wants to be loved. Well, Putin wants to be loved. Napoleon wanted to be loved. Alexander the Great wanted to be loved. Those are men, real men. There's nothing wrong with it. If you start tackling that, then you start interfering with the fundamentals in men and in women. And you and I, Jason, are no different to that. You know, you want recognition for your work. That doesn't mean you're arrogant. There's nothing wrong with that. It's about male pride, and male pride is natural. Male pride is a good thing. What's wrong with that? I would like recognition for my work. That's male pride. That's a good thing. There is also female pride. Mothers like to be recognized for having been the wonderful mothers that they are, for ensuring that when they were pregnant, that they did everything health-wise for the baby. Then after the baby is born, staying up throughout the whole night to be with the baby, tending to the baby's needs. Women like to be recognized for that. That's female pride. That is good. So male pride is good, natural and healthy. Female pride is good, natural and healthy. Anyone, Jason, who says otherwise has very, very malevolent motives involved. Secondly, going back to Trump, just after he returned to the White House this year, and I'm going to use a profanity now, and I've never done this before on television, so I apologize. It's not a serious profanity, but it's still a profanity.
You can say anything on
in front of the camera. Trump referred to woke as, quote, crap. Can you imagine what would happen, Jason, if a politician in Britain, or as it's known as Bongland, referred to woke as, quote, crap? There would be hell to pay for that man or woman, even though, of course, woke is crap. That person would be treated as a horrific criminal. So people across the West, the ordinary people across the Western world, America, Canada, Britain, France, Greece, Germany, Portugal, Australia, New Zealand, they know what woke is. Trump said it for them. Trump has said many things that many people for many years have believed, but were fearful of saying in public. He is now saying those things. He is saying things, Jason, that had to be said. Basic things, common sense things, but no one was saying it. He is saying it. Again, something is better than nothing, because as you rightly said, Harris wouldn't have said that. Biden didn't say that. Obama didn't say that. Bush didn't say that. Clinton didn't say that. All those wretched, horrific human beings and horrific war criminals. Each and every one of the aforementioned American presidents should be in prison for the rest of their lives for what they did. Not just in West Asia, not just in North Africa, but in the Balkans. Look what Clinton, and of course Blair, but we're talking about the Americans. Look what Clinton inflicted on the Serbs in Bosnia, in Croatia, and then in Serbia, or as it was then, the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia in 1999, when NATO began its illegal, criminal, unprovoked war of aggression against the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. Look what Clinton did. Let me give one example. Clinton and Blair dropped depleted uranium on the Serbs, all across Serbia, civilians, resulting in cancer rates in Serbia skyrocketing. And to this day, cancer rates in Serbia are enormous. Why is that? That is because of Clinton and the American deep state.
Deformed babies. Sorry to jump in, Marcus. I did Doug Rocker, who most people don't even know now, but I did big things on depleted uranium before, you know, and my God, that was unbelievable. You know, uranium tipped bullets explodes, turns to uranium oxide. It goes on, it never goes away. Its half-life, was it billion, so I don't know how many billions of years or something, never goes away. And I was very worried that they might be using those bombs in Gaza. I really hope so. I really hope not. But I haven't looked into it yet. But no, sorry, Marcus, carry on.
No, not at all. I was coming to the end anyhow. So for that reason alone, having dropped depleted uranium on a country, because it was cheaper to drop depleted uranium than to destroy it in laboratories. For that reason alone, Jason, Clinton should be in prison for the rest of his life. And when I say a prison, I don't mean a prison, the kind of which you find in Britain or in Bongland, as it is known as. No, I mean a Victorian era prison.
Yeah.
That is where Clinton should be. That is where Bush should be. That is where Obama should be. That is where Biden should be. And again, it's very early on in Trump's presidency. So far, domestically, I'm satisfied. If that changes, you will hear me. But so far, he has averted war. Take, for example, how he exposed and humiliated the Western ruling elite's principal puppet in the world, Zelensky.
Oh, yeah.
What he said to Zelensky is what many of us have been saying for many years. But of course, we don't have the platform that Trump has, but he said it. He looked at Zelensky and he thought, first of all, you are the main puppet of the American deep state which has attempted to kill me on 2 occasions. Secondly, you are the individual who has received billions of dollars of the American, belonging to the American people, money which the American people have worked hard for, and he's taken it, and his henchmen. So I keep on repeating something. In regard to Trump, something is better than nothing. You got nothing from Obama. You got nothing from Biden. You got nothing from Clinton, nothing from Bush. So far with Trump, we have received something. Of course, I want more. Will we get that? I don't know. But again, I'll take anything good that comes. That's how desperate I am being in Britain. Anything positive that comes from America, I will gladly embrace it and hold it.
Well said, Marcus. I know I've kept you long enough. We've gone over time, but it doesn't matter. It's worth it. Speaking to you is great. Just to say one or two foods to wrap it up, and then we're going to go to your books before you go. I want to say first, well done, Marcus, for what you're doing. I know you're doing things that people don't even know about with animals, with helping animals, with helping people with their health. Am I allowed to say what you do with what we talked about earlier on?
Certainly.
You're a tremendous sensei, teaching people karate for many years. It's my passion as well, as you know. Karate is my soul food, is my thing. You're helping people with that. You're very humble. like you said about, you've been banned from all sorts of platforms like I have myself for speaking the truth, for God's sake. There should be money raining from you on the sky, not it's all about money. If you're lying and cheating and selling bombs and being corrupt, then the money flows to you selling drugs. It's just bloody unbelievable what's going on here. But like just one or two points I want to just cover what you said. Like you said about the mothers and everything, that they're holding that child, and let me say to everybody, the reason I do my work is because of people who haven't been born yet. I'm looking at people who haven't been born yet. We're the midwives. Everyone here. So speak out, do something. There's people who haven't been born yet who are relying on what everybody does now, which creates their future. And there's people in food banks that I know are going food banks. They're spending billions. What, 2 billion? I wrote it down here. 2 billion on that new stealth thing. 4 billion to Israel. There's people.
And £1 billion per month, Jason, in Britain is being spent on illegal immigrants. £1 billion a month.
£1 billion
on illegal
a month.
immigrants.
And if I listen, I'm Greek like you, right? If I was to get in a boat and go to Greece, they'd say, sorry, mate, you've got to go back. My grandfather's Greek. My name's Greek. My blood's from the islands, and I can't go and stay there and have given a phone and a hotel. Are you out of your bloody minds, everybody? Oh, sorry, Jason. Calm down, Jason. Not a chance. It's ridiculous. And that is something that's got to be exposed. I'm very worried about it. I'm very worried about it. I'm not racist. I was married to a black woman in Cape Town years ago and shot at because of it. I'm not with her now. So don't call me racist, anybody. So what we're boiling down, so I'm going to put it in a thing now. Like you said about men and about us, we've got to be strong. When you see lightning going through the sky zigzag, everybody, it's not random. It's finding the path of least resistance all the time to get to the earth. And if we don't put a spiritual strength and protection around ourselves, then we're going to be in trouble. So, and the last thing I want to say is this. Trump, if you did go into politics, what are you going to do? It's like putting an umbrella up in a hurricane. If you do one thing, it's a mental asylum. It's insane. Everything. There's no borders from space. Everyone's fighting each other and killing each other, vying for supremacy. And what I would say, like you said about putting people in prison, Marcus, with me, it'd be zero tolerance. And I know everyone's got to fight each other. It's gone too far. It's got a momentum and a trajectory now. It's hard to turn a super tanker when it's all, So I know it's not simple. You can't say, everybody hand in your weapons, let's have utopia. It's not that simple, everyone. I understand that. But when it comes to human madness that's destroying this planet, destroying the world and making people's lives a misery, zero tolerance. If you show any, ideally in my world, it'd be like you show any madness and you want to kill anyone or you want to do some harm, quarantine for you, mate. Finished. Quarantine until you're rehabilitated. And that's what people should be, the government should be held account. But it's gone so mad. But I want to just, in a more positive note, we're in the great exposing, the great unraveling, everybody. And years ago, when I was with Tony Benn and stuff like that, there was always a sticky slowness between when terrible things were done in government and the light of truth was shone on them and everyone could see the corruption. Now that's fallen away. It's almost instant now. Aha, we see you. People with phones in Gaza. We see you. We know what you're doing. You're killing doctors. You're bombing hospitals. Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I'm getting excited. I enjoy a bit of excitement. So the time lag's fallen away. We're in very exciting times, but very dangerous times as well. You can tell I'm Greek, Marcus. Look at me. So okay, that's my rant. But we are the mothers and the right. Now tell us about your books, Marcus.
Well, first of all, allow me to say one word to you, Jason, because we have a mutual love of karate.
Oh, totally.
Us. In regard to my two books, so my first book is called Arise Russia, The Return to Russia of World Politics, or the return of Russia to world politics. That was published in January of 2021. It is predominantly an analytical study of contemporary Russian foreign policy. However, there are chapters which provide the history to Tsarist Russia, and the history to the Soviet Union. For example, it provides the history to the different republics which comprise the USSR. And when it concerns Russia's modern day relationships with, for example, Serbia and Bulgaria, it also provides the history to the relations between Russia and Bulgaria and Russia and Serbia in Tsarist times and in Soviet times. My second book, which was published in November of 2023, is called Whitehall in Stalin's Russia, British Assessments of the Red Army, 1934 to 1945. Its focus is, it has two focuses. Firstly, that assessments of the prowess of the Soviet military in the aforementioned period played an important role in British strategic planning. Secondly, it says that ingrained Russophobia in Whitehall, especially amongst the military and intelligence classes, resulted in undermining Soviet military potential and also played an important role in the collapse of the Anglo-Soviet Treaty of May of 1942 and the collapse of the Grand Alliance after 1945. Both books were met with acclaim. For example, the second book, Whitehall in Stalin's Russia, received endorsements from 4 retired American colonels, 3 in the Army, 1 in the Air Force, and they are quite well-known people in America. So they were very interested to read what the British were saying about the Soviet military potential and about Russophobia within Whitehall. The books can be purchased. Both books can be purchased on Amazon. Alternatively, they can be purchased directly from me. In regard to my social media platforms, I am on YouTube, I am on Odyssey, and I am on Rumble. I am also on X and Facebook.
Fantastic, Marcus. Well done for all those books, and well done for being you. And I really mean that. I've watched you for years and years and years. I met you in London, and I've always been amazed at the body of work you've talked about, and you're a historian, and how you must have studied to learn all that about history. It's unbelievable, so well done for everything you've done. It's amazing. And you're a great man for truth, ethics, morals, and that ethical alarm bell which is in us all, which needs to be returned to its pristine state before we kill each other or everybody. It's a mad world, and it really is, and we need to get back to that ethical alarm bell within each person and stop killing each other and stop being influenced by our governments to hate each other. It's ridiculous, Marcus, and we'll spin off on another conversation if I'm not careful. But you know what I mean. We can talk about that again. But Marcus Papadopoulos, fantastic, and I'll put your links underneath this show so people can find you, and I'll also put your Amazon link to your books. And thanks for everything you're doing, and I really appreciate your work. Thanks for your time today.
Well, thank you as always for having me on your show, and thank you too, Jason, for being the man that you are. You are out there as well. You are fighting as well. You have been attacked as well. So we all have a role to play. War has been declared on us. Man, woman, and child. We cannot sit back. We have to respond. We have to respond legally, peacefully, intelligently, and respectfully. And we must do so 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Because if we don't, there will be no future for mankind.
And it's amazing how people, just a quick thing before we go, I know we've gone over time, but it's very important to say this. It's amazing how people hate you if you're speaking the truth and exposing their governments. I get people coming in my gallery, get rid of Trump, kill Putin. I say, well, hang on a minute. How many people have they killed compared to Biden and Obama? Oh, yeah, well, yes, but kill them. You know, the deep programming from the newspapers and everything. And the Guardian did a hit piece on me, and the BBC and the Times newspaper. And someone shouted at me the other night, "You're a murderer," because I was exposing, what was going on with the vaccines. And the same woman, if she's watching this, if you do that again, we're gonna get you. Well, the police will get you. Yeah? She swerved towards me the other day in town because I'm what we're doing is we're shining a light on everything that's not true, and which is true. It's like, wow. But anyway, I'll leave it there with that. But thank you, Marcus, for that. And it's not easy doing what we're doing. It would be so easy to sell out and go and work for the normal establishment, but we can't do that because we've got an ethical and moral thing inside us which tells us what's right and wrong. So thanks, Marcus. I'll be in
My
touch.
pleasure, as always.
All the best. Yeah, thanks very much. Take care now, right?
You too, Jason.
Well, there he goes, Dr. Marcus Papadopoulos, an amazing man, absolutely amazing man. And I won't rabble off too much, other than just to say, get my book as well. It's there somewhere. I'll put it up on the screen. The Emergency Transformation of Human Beings as the Solution to the World's Problems. I probably should have called that book Finding Happiness, Peace and Strength in a World Gone Mad. And I might change the title to that because, but that is a lot of what it's about. It's about finding that peace and stability within oneself. And once you do that, then it projects out into the world. If we can all find that strength and peace within ourselves, and that integrity again, and that deep feeling that we just want the truth. We want to be happy. We want to be free. Anyway, I won't go on about that because my other shows are going to be talking about that soon, and we're starting them this week. So well done, everybody, for being you. Thanks for watching. And if you want to support me, go to Patreon. You can support me on there. People often say, ask people for help. I'm doing this work. I don't get paid for it at all. So, and also we are promoting some of our products, which you will have the links underneath there. The patches, which are quite phenomenal. People are raving about them. So we're an affiliate for them. I'm an affiliate for the Roots products, and also for Clive de Carle's products. And you'll see all those links underneath there. And yeah, if you want to see my artwork, I'm an artist as well. I've got an art gallery in Totnes in Devon. Jason Leosalis art.com. You can go there and you can look at my prints and my original paintings there, or pop by the gallery and say hello to me, because I love meeting people, and I love you all dearly. You know that. I even love people who are killing people in the world and bombing people, because it's a mental illness. It really is, to think that we're different from each other. Yes, cultures are different. Yes, no one's the same exactly, but there's no borders from space, everybody. There's not. If you could try to explain to a symbiotic being of love and integrity from another planet what's going on here now, they'd never believe you. They're bombing them. They're bombing them. They've just bombed all them. They bombed them before. They're doing that. They're bombing them. They hate each other there. They're vying for control over there. They're going to do that to get that. They're going to do that. And when people scream and say, we don't want that, they're going to do that, which was what they wanted to do in the first place. It's just absolutely dreadful compared to what it could be like. We could be living not in a complete utopia, because it is a predatory ecology on the planet Earth. It is, but we could be living in a much nicer place than this. So I've still got hope. Speaking of Marcus, thanks, Marcus. I really, it's helped me a lot, because I do get quite angry what Trump's doing and what the administration is doing, and they're supporting Israel. But what I was going to talk about with Marcus, but I didn't, is that who knows? Perhaps Israel is, stopping, radical Islam taking over the whole world. How do we know? How do we know? Or perhaps the resistance to Israel is stopping them taking over the whole world, the chosen ones. Oh my God, I've been anti-Semitic again. There's no one's better than anybody else. Flags, they're an illusion. I'll flag, I'll kill you. If you burn my flag, I'll kill you. What's a flag? It's a piece of blooming cloth and cotton. Yeah. I'm Israeli, I'm Iranian, I'm Jewish, I'm African, I'm this, I'm that, I'm Russian, you know. It's just a grunt from a voice box. Beautiful, the voice, but it's a grunt from a voice box. It's just a sound which causes terrible trouble. I'll keep talking about it. It's very frustrating. It really is. But we've got to return to sanity. We really, really have. Honestly, you're the midwife. Right, you there, sat there. You're the midwife for a better world that is wants to be born. It's waiting within the womb of possibility to be born. And we can say, well, what can we do about it? The government controls everything. You can do a lot about it. You know, you can. You really can, just by standing up and exposing it and talking about it. Yeah, and that's where we are now. The great exposing is unraveling. That's what I call it. The great exposing of what's right and wrong. You can see it in plain sight now. It's something's changing. There's a spiritual upliftment in the world. There's a raising of the vibration of humanity. There's a heightening of consciousness again. Thank God. Thank God. Because these evil monsters that want to just make humanity into Coke cans, like rubbish that they just don't think, and they don't think they're anything, you know, connected to some higher divine, beautiful mind and intelligence, you know. This is no big coincidence. Big Bang, come on. It's mathematically incredible. It's amazing. So be kind to yourself, be gentle to yourself, and be kind to other people. Go out of your way to be nice to somebody. You know, I try to do it all the time. I love being nice to people. It's an addiction I've got. I want to help people, make people happy, not make people miserable and sad. Be kind to people and be kind to yourself. Anyway, that's me. That's my rant. I'm going. Thanks, Dr. Marcus Papadopoulos. Fantastic man. What a lovely man. I've met him. Real gentleman. Real gentleman, that man. Honestly. Thanks so much, Marcus. Take care, guys. Love you. Bye.